Hello, everyone. Guys, today's session will be all about the research and the findings that we did from the brands across the globe. So it's not just limited to India, but the brands across the globe. How are they using AI? How are they using different tools to enable personalization? And, there will be some key takeaways for you guys as well. Amazing, guys. So let's get started. Again, before starting the session, let me introduce myself. A little bit about me. Before starting this company, I'm actually a techie turned entrepreneur. I was a software developer at Microsoft and I quit my job there to start this company. And today I'm here to share all my learnings as an avid beauty consumer. I am a consumer myself when it comes to beauty brands, and also since I'm the co-founder and CEO of Big and Manifest, we also understand a lot about the funnels that these e-commerce brands have been running using AI agents. So stay tuned, and I'm excited. So let's begin. A little bit about Big and Manifest. We are building world's first agentic AI CRM. What it means, you'll slowly uncover during the session. But the complete e-commerce stack, which the brands have been using for last almost a decade or two. For example, from acquisition to then engaging a customer, and then handling your retention marketing up till managing support. Everything has fundamentally changed starting from 2025, and in 2026 we are seeing real time application of those changes in the entire tech stack. So we are going to cover some real time examples on how these brands are doing. We are trusted by 600 plus global brands across the globe. We are backed by Sequoia, Y Combinator, and Chainsmoker is the band. Moving ahead, so, like I said, we studied 50 plus leading beauty brands across the globe, whether it's uh, Estee Lauder, Moroccan Oil, Elf Beauty, Tarte Cosmetic, Huda Beauty, Glossy. Each and every brand we studied very, very deeply, and understood what kind of patterns are they following today in the age of agentic AI. And one thing that stood out, which was common across the brands, was personalization. Every brand has tried their best to adopt personalization in whatever capacity it was possible. Not necessarily they have implemented AI already. There were some brands who have implemented, there were some brands who haven't, but we have shared our very honest research and thesis and wanted to bring that to you guys. And it's, what we believe, it's no longer a differentiator, it's the starting point. Every brand in some ways doing personalization. So if you haven't thought about it yet, maybe it's time to get started, but it's the fundamental layer going forward for D2C brand. It's not going to be something that stands out in your brand, that is going to be a very essential factor in your brand. So let's get started. Number one, in beauty brand, we have seen quizzes became the default approach. For last, I would say since 2020, post COVID, the adoption of quiz massively grew. There are brands, for example, Fenty Beauty, it's a brand by Rihanna, the rock star Rihanna. She has deployed a shade finder, and how it looks like, I'll just zoom in. It's a QR code, and this experience is mobile only. Use your phone to scan the QR code to get started. And once you scan it, there's a quiz app that opens. You can deploy it on WhatsApp, you can deploy it on Instagram, or you can put it on your website and app. That's your call. But they have given a QR code to start their journey. And this is a form of quiz which helps you find the right shade of the product that you want to buy. So this is one thing that we saw. Again, another cosmetic brand by a celebrity, Kylie Cosmetic, and both the brands that you're seeing here are billion-dollar brands. They both are doing 9,000 crore plus of revenue currently from alone from their website. So they have also deployed, a shade finder quiz, though it does not start with a QR code. It starts with the questionnaire on the website directly. So it says, do you know which product are you looking for today? So, for them, their buyers, they believe they start their journey by understanding which product they have come here to buy. For Fenty Beauty, they understand their consumers that they start their journey from a shade. So depending upon your consumer thesis, from where do they start a journey, and never necessarily two beauty brands have the same journey. It depends upon the kind of TG you are serving, whether it's Gen Z, whether it's millennial, even millennial, what kind of millennials are you serving? It totally depends which region are you serving to. So it totally depends upon your audience. You need to understand your data and accordingly judge or interpret your quiz starting time. So, like few pointers that we found out from our research. Shade finders was a common theme, routine builders, product discovery quizzes. They help customers make quicker choices without needing human support, right? So that's the overall agenda. So this was one. Then coming on to next. When we went deeper, okay, so from a quizzes standpoint, those were some celebrity brands, but now let us see some very well-known brands. Maybelline, The Body Shop, Tarte Cosmetic, Sally Beauty, Moroccan Oil. Everyone had a different kind of quiz on their website. So if I won't go deep into this, we'll also send out this deck post our meeting. But here, if you see which of the below best describes your hair type, fine, medium, coarse. So depending upon which kind of product you're selling, you can start the quiz section for yourself. So this is one. Moving on to next, these are again few more examples. For example, routine finder is something that was very intriguing because for me as well, when it comes to skincare, it's usually about, finding the product that completes my routine. And sometimes if let's say a toner is something that I really inclined towards, it's a new kind of toner, I want to try it out, then the complementary product that goes around that toner, I tend to buy them as well. It's not necessarily that toner was the only thing I was here to purchase. I end up purchasing everything in my routine. So it's important to educate customers beyond what they are here to buy. So one way is definitely a routine finder quiz that you can deploy through these examples that we have sent. Now, the major blocker that we realized in all of these quizzes were quizzes are capturing skin type, it's capturing shade, it's capturing age, sometimes your preferences as well. For example, do you like to see your hair shiny, or do you like to see your hair straight? So, all of these data points are great, and it's very well to give out a first time guidance to your customers. But beyond that, what? I like shiny hair, I like straight hair, as you can see from the camera today. But what about, I don't like long shiny hair, I like short shiny hair. Or maybe along with the occasion that I'm going to, it's a different preference. Apart from that, there could also be a factor that probably today my mood was something else, so and hence my preference changed. So there are different data points that you really need to capture to give out a personalized experience. Whatever we saw so far were about, basic fundamentals of personalization. It's like an MCQ that you were doing in your childhood. But beyond that, personalization that really feels personal. I want to make myself feel special when I'm, let's say, going to Moroccan Oil. I have visited Moroccan Oil website almost 50 times in last 1 year, but never did I realize that they know me well. It always felt like same quiz is coming, same quiz is asking me same questions every time I go on to the website of Moroccan Oil. So how do we fix that? That's a fundamental question that we should answer today. Like I said, basic questions with range or smaller option when there's scope of to learn more. For example, here it's asking in Clinic website, what is most important to you regarding your daily sun protection? We are asking fundamental question that came to our mind. It could be high SPF or 100% mineral based, built into my moisturizer foundation. What about something else? Maybe, it was about I bought this product because my friend is using it, and hence, I wanted to be in that uh, kind of genre where, everyone uses same kind of product. It could be anything, yeah. So, having such constraint towards the optionality that you give your customer is very, very rudimentary. And then if you want to increase your options, then Glossier has done, they have put, let's say, 7 options here. Select which shade family best matches your skin tone. This is too much to read. No one is going to do that. You are going to see massive drop off when someone's coming to this step. This is too much. So when you're trying to increase data points, those static quizzes are becoming a roadblocker. And when you're trying to reduce data points, again, these static quiz are roadblockers because you're not covering the full range and it's not personalized. So, we'll just move on to next and how we believe this could be a solution. So, real questions don't fit into forms. Real question needs a conversational flow. Real question needs a free form for your customers to ask questions. So shoppers usually ask very, very intimate question. I'm going to show you some examples in our ongoing slides, but is this safe during pregnancy? Will this flash back in photos? I am buying this for a wedding. It could be as intimate as I have a scar, which is, usually not visible, but I want something to fix it. So these are real life situation, guys, and our personalization should fix it. And a quiz can't do it. A quiz is just like a rudimentary set of questions on your website. So, like we tried out, like if brands have solved for it already or not. So we went to the Ordinary website. It's a well-known brand throughout the globe. And we asked, can this be used during pregnancy? We literally got no answer. So this is where the real value add when it comes to personalization happens. Moving on to next, what we did was the same question. We went ahead and asked ChatGPT, are skincare products from The Ordinary safe to use when you are pregnant? It gave us a very, very well elaborated answer, which is wonderful, right? If some shopper is getting what they wanted through ChatGPT, which is a free tool, okay, a $20 minimal subscription, but more or less free, it is a massive gain to a brand, right? But the fundamental question to ask here is, your customers are dropping off from your website, going to ChatGPT as an interface and asking the question. It's not a win, it's a loss. And today we are going to demonstrate it's not just a loss from context switching, it's also a loss in terms of revenue. So let's go to the next slide. Brands added, like we saw some brands have added humans to handle nuances as well. For example, Rare Beauty has put live chat with experts. Here, there are real humans who are coming and answering questions. But again, it's limited. When there is no human available, when it's night time, if you're serving global audience, and even in India, if you're serving audiences, they want to buy something at Sunday 10 p.m. at night. Are you going to deploy a human to do that? If you are going to deploy, that is great, your choice, but you are paying expensively high for things that could have been automated. So one-on-one chat, again, a great idea, but how you solve it totally depends on how innovative you are in terms of adopting a solution or a platform. So again, moving ahead, I'll just skip this. Now, coming to again the question which we asked for The Ordinary and ChatGPT, we did similar thing in Neutrogena and we got the answer. And it was this time about product recommendation. So fundamentally, if an AI chatbot like ChatGPT is able to serve your brand, which is not uh, even part of your website, they don't even have your data which you have internally in terms of which customer has purchased how many times. You now imagine if you deploy something like this for your website, what kind of personalization it can deliver. Now, moving on to next, what happens here is, let's say, in Neutrogena, when someone went to ChatGPT and asked a question, you literally were giving out free information to ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT exactly knows when someone wants to buy a Neutrogena product, these are the questions that they have in mind. These are the products usually that gets recommended for a problem that they have. And there could be n number of data points that ChatGPT is generating today around your brand. which you are not able to capture, which you are not able to understand, which you are not at all even thinking of using for your brand growth purposes. So this is what we need to change using AI Commerce Playbook. So here, if you see why the shopper is buying, you don't know because discovery is happening on ChatGPT. What they care about, why did they even ask this question? You don't have that information. When they plan to purchase, are they going to come back? What is their timeline of buying? Probably they are researching, exploring today, and well, within a week or two, they'll make a purchase decision. Everything you are now handing it over for free to ChatGPT. That needs to stop. So I'll just, move on to next. You must have heard this news that Shopify merchants are now liable to pay 4% fee on ChatGPT checkout sales as well. What it means is if someone is searching, let's say, which is the best skincare product when it comes to dry skin in India, and there are products being recommended, if someone click on that product and come to your website, then you won't be charged 4%. But if someone is directly buying that on ChatGPT, then you would be penalized with 4% commission. So this is a new rollout that Shopify and OpenAI have bought recently, just last week. You can go read about it. So again, when you are not bringing that power of AI assistant or chatbot on your website, this is going to happen. And why are they thinking 4% is great? Because they have seen brands are lazy enough to deploy AI assistant personalization on their website, and hence everyone is going to ChatGPT to search, and 4% goes out of your pocket. So this is again, a massive loss in terms of revenue that you could have made by doing these simple tweaks. Now, this is beyond commission actually. The bigger issue, like I said, was the intent, the reason why someone is coming to your website, the reason why they're asking that question, the reason why there was a follow-up question. You lose influence, you lose learning, you lose control of the journey, you lose literally everything. This is a bigger loss than what you were seeing so far through, let's say, Meta or Google Ads, where you were not getting context and data of your customers. This is beyond that. You are even losing intent of customers. So it's a very massive issue, especially for the upcoming time in 2026, 27. Fundamentally, shopping is going to change, and if you're not capturing intent data, it's going to become difficult. We'll quickly show you one example which Estee Lauder is trying to do along with Google. They have deployed like an AI scent advisor, which has massively, like, it has charged them hundreds and thousands of dollars, probably millions of dollars, to even prototype a small AI scent advisor. But they're trying out something. So that is where the fundamental shift in the mindset comes in. How do we start thinking about at least solving one use case through an AI assistant that can solve for our website? Should be our fundamental question. The key takeaway from this session should be, hey, the shopper's behavior is changing in 2026. What is that one thing? What is that one use case that I can solve on my website through these new emerging tech, which is AI shopping assistant, and see if it's solving the purpose or not? Second thing, somehow you need to understand, and probably sure you can go to your Google Analytics and see what kind of traffic you are getting from ChatGPT. Those traffic you are getting actually belong to you already. There are few discovery questions that happens on ChatGPT, but more so or less, they are asking about your brand. They're asking about your products. You should own those searches. Someone else outside should not. And hence, it's time to pick that up as a task. So that is another key takeaway. If you have started getting traffic from ChatGPT, it means it's time to deploy your own AI assistant on your website. And it doesn't take a lot of time. That is what I wanted to cover. Probably the Lotus Herbal team has also joined this session, but nevertheless, this is their implementation of AI assistant on their website. A small snippet here. How does it help with dry skin? And then it gives out an answer. It's actually a small floating bar on the website that helps users to ask different kind of question and get out an answer. Questions that we hear often, like when people hear about things like this, common question comes up. Is this going to be expensive? Do we need a big tech team? Will it take months to build? Would we get zero party data or not? These are normal concerns. But the good news is all of this is very easy to implement, not so expensive, and you can go live within 3 to 4 days. It is as simple as that. And forget about zero party data. More than that, you are also going to get different ways that you can leverage that data to run your marketing automation, whether it's retention marketing, increasing your repeat purchases, or even if it's about increasing your CSAT score through customer experience. Everything is solvable through the data that you're going to get. Again, like I said, it's yes, you don't need a large in-house AI team. You don't need large dollar budgets. You don't need long development cycle. It's very simple, straightforward implementation that you can do. These are few examples from early adopters. They are doing through AI. Walk Buddy, this is a Volcaro website. I'm sure most of you would be knowing that brand. This is how they have deployed. You Likes Guide, which is better than just going to a salon, and then they sell some packages, laser packages. That's how they have deployed. Notify when available, summarize review. You can go and check out Wonderchef's website, how they have deployed. This is a jewelry store. This is a nudge that they show, and that is where the journey gets started. Depending upon if it's a new user, an old user, the journey changes. Ask Lotus AI is something that we already covered. So these are some early adopters, and how they're doing it is you just need to put an instruction in the form of prompt. You need to give a success criteria, an agent goal, and that's it. It gets deployed. You don't have to do anything fancy. And if you're on Shopify, the data sync happens automatically. But don't worry, after this session, I'll send out my Calendly link. If you have any issues or understanding, you need more understanding towards the implementation, I'm happy to help. Now, who is going to build this? There are tools which provide this, everyone knows. But who is going to build this? This is a continuous process. In any company, today we have, let's say, a head of marketing, we have an e-commerce manager, we have a performance marketer, we also have, let's say, a retention marketer or a growth manager. But who is going to build these agents? It is whose job to take care of this KPI. It is whose job to automate, let's say, 80% of support through agents, or let's say increasing your revenue by 5% month over month just by deploying AI agent. Who is going to own this KPI? Because it needs continuous AI training. It needs giving right prompts. It needs setting up right success criteria. Who is going to do this? That's where the AI commerce engineer comes into being. This is a new designation. Every company is behind hiring. Everyone is, feeling that there is need of one person who is going to automate and deploy AI agents to automate more stuff in our e-commerce stack. And that person designation is called AI commerce engineer. It's not very hard to upgrade yourself to this person. It's super, super easy. And the best part, we are coming up with a free course. So Beck and Manifest are coming up with a free course where we are going to give you an hands-on learning and workshop around how to become an AI commerce engineer and also deploy end-to-end AI agent stack for your brand. We'll share this link in our chat. My team would have already shared. Just go and register if you want to do so. It's a free course for everyone who's attending today. So, we would love to discuss deeply and help you plan your AI roadmap this year. My Calendly also would be in the chat. Feel free to book it. But I'm super excited to meeting you all and understanding what kind of roadmap you guys are planning for this year. And nevertheless, guys, we still have 4 minutes before we say goodbye. I'm happy to take in any questions you have. How does that help a retail apparel brand? Ankita, great question. A retail apparel brand, the first use case that comes to my mind is store locator. So if you have a lot of retail stores across the country or city, that is where you can start. Help me find the nearest store. That is one way you get your users to start the journey. The other way, which is massively getting adopted, is size guide AIs. Here you give out a nudge saying that recommend the right size for me, because every brand has a different scale of sizing. And that is the number one reason you end up getting a lot of refunds. So that is another way you can start your AI assistant journey. This is great, guys. We have covered most of it. We'll send you an email with all the examples and our findings. But yeah, register for the course. And if you need anything from us, I'm always there, helping you out. I'll also drop in my email in case you want to chat. Thank you so much for joining us today. Looking forward to working sometime in future. Thank you. Bye.